Having a bit of a bad hair day right now, I just noticed because, well, I made the mistake of putting on my headband before I put my shirt on. So I've kind of messed up my hair. But it stayed. And it's not as bad as Terry Hatcher's hair in Spy Kids. Which, yeah, I just watched that the other day on HBO because we have HBO again! And I remember in that movie, she gets hit by one of those flying devices, get sprayed with fire so it fries her hair. But yeah, I used to actually have that movie, but I ended up donating it because it's not one I watch. I mean, it's funny and it's cute and I like it, but it's not like my all-time favorite movie. So I ended up donating it to Gibbons because they collect DVDs. So hopefully some kid or high schooler might want to buy it one day. If not, they can send it somewhere else. But anyway, so I'm gonna update you guys on my reading and what I'm gonna read on my day off tomorrow. First things first, I am gonna do a review on this book, but I finished If We Were Villains. I finally finished a book. Yay! I was very since I deemed it 2 books, I was kind of worried because I know you shouldn't put priority on this. You know, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. But sometimes I like the feeling that I've accomplished something and I've read a lot in 1 month. So, you know, I was hoping that, but I don't know, and no, yes, because I do realize that quality is more important than quantity. That's why I'm not devastated if I don't, and that's how it's always been. I've never read a lot in 1 month anymore, what some people would define as not having read a lot. Although compared to some people, 7 books is a lot. Like, I imagine my best friend Larissa would probably think 7 books is a lot in 1 month. Because she actually is someone I've learned recently that she tends to, she told me how she gets distracted when she reads. Like, she loves reading, she enjoys reading, but sometimes she can't, she's not used to just sitting there for hours reading a book, so. I finished that. I'm very happy about that. I'm going to do a review like I just said. So, but right now, I'm going to just talk about what I'm going to read now. Or, yeah, tonight and then into tomorrow and then Sunday. Because I have the weekend. Yay! Actually, my work week this week was like last week's, where I worked Monday, Tuesday, then was off Wednesday, and then worked yesterday and today, and then I'm off this weekend. But it looks like tomorrow, it looks like next week's going to be a little different. Because it looks like I'm working Wednesday next week. Like, it looks like I'm working Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So, I don't know. I will find out. I will look at. But I decided to go ahead. Well, first of all, I'm still reading Hero of Ages, and I'm still loving it. And it looks like so far I think there's a good chance I can get it done by May, by the end of May, hopefully. Because again, as I've said many times before, I want to get this done before June. Or at least by the first week of June, hopefully. But so much is happening, and I'm getting nervous now. I'm worried for Vin and Ellen and everybody with this whole Ruin guy and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But either way, it's such an exciting, thrilling adventure. And if you're really if you're ready to read thicker fantasy books that aren't YA, or well, actually, this is considered YA as well as adult. It could definitely fit both categories. Because two of the main characters, although Vin is not she's now older than, I think she's 18 or 19 in this book. So she's an adult. I think that's why it probably straddles the line. Because of Vin, since her character, she grows with the book. It's the same thing with, it's like with Harry Potter, where Harry Potter, I felt like started out as middle grade, but then as Harry aged, the series aged with him. So that the fans that, read it since the beginning grew with it. They grew with Harry. And I feel like Brandon Sanderson did the same thing with this book, with this trilogy. And I almost actually bought the other trilogy, but then I decided, no, I'm going to wait. And unfortunately now I kind of wish I hadn't, because they would definitely been cheaper than what I got. But I'm still happy with what I got. I'm very pleased with the purchase I made last Sunday. But I still feel like, first, I feel guilty that I kind of splurged and spent way too much money. Because right after I went to Francesca's but the mass market paperbacks of the spin-off series trilogy for this would have been cheaper than, like I said, the books I got. So I'm still reading this. And then I also, this morning, I started reading this. Well, before I talk about that, I'm still also reading this. I'm at the halfway point in this book. This is very much a coming of age story. We're getting like the story, our main character, Francis's life story from when she was a kid growing up in Brooklyn. And I don't know if we're gonna go to when she's an adult or not, or maybe it's gonna be one of these things where we'll see her an adult a little bit, but it's mostly her growing up. I don't know, but her life in Brooklyn and all the lessons she's learned and the hardships she goes through, her and her family go through, and like all the different things that happened during her lifetime, that are like all the societal things and the political things that happened, of course, because she grew up in the turn of the century, so a lot of things were changing. Women were getting the right to vote, and in fact, she experiences this. There's this woman in her neighborhood that she got pregnant out of wedlock, and all these women are like, these older women are like, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. You shouldn't be walking around here with your baby all proud because you didn't marry the baby's father, and you got pregnant before you two got married and stuff like that, and he essentially abandoned you. And we do find out that there's a little bit more to that story than him just having sex with her and then leaving, but these people don't know. It's like when you don't know the details, but you see something that on the surface it doesn't look appropriate or looks bad or morally ambiguous or something, then you're gonna just judge that person. And I try not to do that, and that's what these women in the story did to this woman that Francie sees, and she feels bad for her. Because she sees this woman is a very sweet person and she has a beautiful baby, and she does not deserve this prejudice against her. But the way that Francie looks at the world is so interesting, idealistic. I feel like they do that a lot in these kinds of coming of age stories, where the main character that's growing up, they kind of look at the world in an ideal sort of way until they become an adult. And they start growing up, but you see how Francie's milestones, like when she officially becomes a woman, and all my female viewers will know what I'm talking about. And just how, and I kind of feel bad for her because her mom treats her very differently. Like, she kind of spoils her little brother. And she admitted when he was born that she loved him more, and that, oh, my daughter doesn't need my love and doesn't need me. She can take care of herself along with her husband. And you feel bad for Francie. And I think she's aware of it. She knows her mom doesn't love her the same way she loves her son. Which I feel like it's a good and a bad. It's a negative and a positive because, yes, I feel like you are forced to be strong, much stronger, more confident because you don't get nurtured, because she doesn't get nurtured as much as her brother does. But her brother gets coddled, I feel like. He gets spoiled by their mom. And that's the problem is back then, I don't know if it's as much today as it was back then, but I feel like a lot of the males males are coddled sometimes, or were back then. I mean, in fact, my grandmas definitely pick favorites, and it's their son, their oldest son. Well, although my dad, he's not, but my uncle, my dad's brother's kind of a screw up. So my grandma, my dad's mom kind of favors him, even though he doesn't like it. He can't stand it. He's not a mama's boy, but I think she tries to make him a mama's boy. but I feel like, yeah, a lot of back in the day, a lot of women coddled their little men because they were men. But now well, now I feel like it's kind of, I'm not gonna say anymore because then that might lead to something that I don't want to talk about. So but yeah, this is really good. I'm really enjoying it. I love coming of age stories. Except for Little Women. That one was a little too sweet for me. A little too like sugary sweet, and I just don't like it. I like the movie, the Winona Ryder movie, not the I think there was another movie made, an older movie, that was made like probably in like it looked like the 50s. But I like the 1994 movie, and now they're remaking it again. I don't know who's with I think Laura Dern is gonna be in it. Saoirse Ronan is gonna be in it. I can't think of who else it's gonna be. I know the names, but I can't think of who the names right now. Oh, Meryl Streep I think is gonna be in it. I can't think of who else. I mean, like there were a lot of names in that were gonna. Oh, Emma Watson is gonna be in it. But they're remaking it again, so I'm not gonna I know a lot of people when they keep remaking movies, like remaking classics, it's like people pitch a hissy fit about it. It's like, I know you want Hollywood to be original, I agree, but at the same time, I'm not gonna dismiss a remake just because, oh, it's a remake, it's not original, Because I imagine it is hard to be original nowadays in Hollywood. In more ways than one, too. But so I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. And it'll be nice to see in classics. It's always nice every once in a while for classics to be remade so that you can just see a new person's take on the character from the classic. And there are some classics like fantasy and sci-fi classics where because of today's technology they can do so much more and have so much more to create, So, yeah. So, like I said, I'm a little more. Actually, no, a little bit more than halfway done. I read 2 chapters last night. Let's see what this chapter about at the end of this previous part because it's divided into parts. Francie told her teacher a lie. That was a story. I don't remember why she did. It was like a school assignment that she forgot or something. So she told the teacher a little fib. And the teacher, she didn't condemn her for telling a lie, but she was like, yeah, you're going to be a writer one day. Because I know you lied. Oh, I remember what it was. It was because, I think something like she claimed that, it was around Thanksgiving, and the teacher was offering to pass out this pie to give to someone so they can give it to the poor, and Francie was like, offered to take the pie because someone else wanted to, because they were apparently too proud, and so, but instead of giving it to some poor family, she eats it herself, so she, feeling guilty, she lied. She comes up with a story about this poor family that she gave the pie to. And then she does it again later because there's this little girl who wants to give her doll because she's rich and she doesn't need any more dolls, and she's trying to be a perfect little girl, moral little girl, and is like, I'm going to give my doll Mary to someone else some poor girl who has the name Mary. So again, Frances lies. And says her name is Mary. Although I think you find out, and I don't know if they said this in the beginning. I should have known. I should have realized that. Wait, her middle name is Mary because she says her first name is Mary, and she had talked to her mom, and then her mom was, without exactly telling her that she lied. And her mom says, your middle name is, I think her mom said her name is Frances Mary something. I don't remember their last name. Like she was named after like a grandmother or something. So it turns out her name, she has Mary in her name, it's just not her first name. So it's like the part ends with her trying to write a story, I think, or keep a diary. But the latest thing her latest entry she wrote, how actually no, actually now I think about it wasn't actually an entry, but telling the story of how her aunt was talking about how the horse that her and her husband's pet horse fell in love with her because she's actually nice to the horse and respects the animal, while her husband is kind of like mean to the animal, a bit of a bully to the animal, so the animal does not respond and pisses on him. And Evie, Francie's aunt, is a lot nicer and kinder to the animal, and she takes over his job while he's sick. I think like he's a delivery person or something. And that's the last part I read. Because I think those two chapters, that chapter or the chapter before, starts with her trying to write in her diary. Oh no! Wait, that previous part also had the part when she meets the woman she sees the woman who got pregnant in a wedlock, and she comes to this revelation that women are mean to each other, while men are different, because they're like, yeah, they might bully and beat up each other and get angry at each other, but at the end of the day, it's like, once they beat up each other, it's like, whatever, okay, we're done, we're friends again, while women hold grudges, and that is sadly true. I feel like we are mean to each other. But we can also be very sweet and kind and understanding as well. But yeah, there's a lot of girl hate in the world, I feel like. A lot of female hate. So I'm gonna read a little bit. I don't know if I'll get to I'll read 2 chapters. Depends on if I start falling asleep, but I don't have to work. I'm home tomorrow unless they call me again. I think yesterday was one of these things where they just, unless someone has to call in sick, was one of these things they just needed someone that wasn't going to be working at the registers or doing anything else. And I think that's why they asked me to come in. So those are the 2 I'm currently, and then I decided I need to get back in, and that's what I'm reading tomorrow. But I am also going to read this one, I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, who is the author of the book version of 101 Dalmatians, which actually the book came first, and then the Disney movie. And this is basically about this family, and the family patriarch decides that he comes across a ruined castle, and they use that as their home. But like just now, the landowner showed up and visited them, and I think one of the daughters, I think the oldest daughter, is deciding, should I marry one of those 2 guys? Because of course this was like, I think like the 1800s or early 18, I don't know. It's narrated by one of the other daughters, Cassandra, the 17-year-old daughter. And of course she must be a writer. And actually, J.K. Rowling blurbs it. Although I think I agree, I kind of believe that Murphy Napier is probably right, that you can't really trust blurbs, because I think it's just they're having a famous author a popular author blurb the book, just because, and that will get it selling. I think it's a marketing technique. So, like, if you have some popular author like J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series and now has written the Cormoran Strike novels, if you get her to blurb it, then people will be interested in buying it. But I went by the book's own merit, not because, well, merit as in all from a book all of, I think she was the one who talked about how great this book was. I think it was one of them, or maybe it was, I don't know. I think it was Olive talking about how interesting, or maybe it was Leslie from Words of a Reader, which I wonder if she's making videos still. I have not even if I have not come across her videos lately. It's like she all of a sudden took a break, I guess, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of sad and disappointing when one of your favorites, booktubers, has taken a break. But at the same time, you kind of understand. They probably have a perfectly good reason why they're not making videos right now. And you can't be like pushy about it. It wouldn't be right. They deserve to take a break, but it is disappointing when they do. I mean, as in, it's a little sad because you like them and you miss them. But anyway, so that I'm working on, and the rest of these books are just ones that I probably should read at least a little bit of them. Like, I need to get back into reading, I need to read more of Revival, because this is one that, so I can let Binge Reader know that I'm reading it, because this is one I started, like, last year. I got the, library book, and then it was taking me too long, and I was debating if I was gonna buy it, because it's a different Stephen King novel. It's not like it's horror or supernatural or fantasy books. It's more, probably closer to The Body and premise, like, in that it's kind of about growing up in life and stuff. But I think in The Body, because in The Body they discover a body. This one, I don't think there's really any horror in this one. There's just, unless you count someone gets killed, but the tragedy of someone losing their loved ones kind of situation. But it's like, basically, this is our narrator, Jamie. He has a new minister, a young minister, when he's a boy, comes to their town, and he kind of bonds with him, and kind of connects with him. Him and his family do connect with this minister. What is his name? Charles Jacobs. Oh, he has a mustache. I was gonna say J.K. Rowling. Stephen King has a mustache in this one, on this picture. But anyway, Reverend. But unfortunately, the Reverend's wife and baby and toddler son end up in a car accident. So the new Charles Jacobs kind of loses faith in God, because he doesn't understand why God took away his wife and son, and he focuses more on his other passion, which is science, and does it say in here? It doesn't, like, in science, particularly, like, electricity and lightning and stuff. And I think I have a theory. I'm not sure. I don't remember the first part, but I didn't want to go back and have to reread it again, because, Stephen King books are pretty long. So I just picked up where I left off. But it says that in the back description, it says that there's a secret that Jamie is keeping. And I think I have a theory what it is. I don't remember. I mean, now, of course, maybe they did imply what it was already, and I just don't remember. Or at least I remember vaguely in the back of my mind. And that's why I think I have an idea of what it is. Like, I don't remember if they implied it or not. I don't even know, like I said, and I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I have to update Binge Reader on my reading of it, so I'll have to comment on her next video and see if she remembers that I told her I was reading this book. But I don't think I'm going to get it done within a month, because I have so many other books. Like, I got the Betty Smith book, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, I Captured the Castle. I want to read a little bit more of A Hero of Ages. And then I actually have 2 more Stephen King books that I took off my shelf that I need to get back into. Like, I need to read, it's been a while since I've read it, and I need to get back into that. And I'm at the part when they're adults. And the last thing I read, I think, was when they reunited at the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant, and the whole fortune cookie incident. And then they decide to separate. So it's set up, so the time, it's a little different in the movies, whether you're talking about the miniseries or the new movie that just came out, and they haven't got to the adult part, so I don't know how they're going to do the adult part, but they've cast the adults in it. I think it's supposed to come out this year. Yeah, I think it comes out sometime this year. So maybe this fall or something, I don't know, but I cannot wait. And I know a lot of people aren't pleased with some of the casting, like Jessica Chastain, because, she knows the director and stuff, and now, I don't know, maybe that is true, and it's because of who the director is, that's why she got cast, but I think she's a pretty good actress. I'm excited for her performance. Although I've heard some things about her as a person, but her acting ability, to me, has something to do with, but if you know this, although the problem is, if you know someone is a horrible person, there's these things that you don't do, these things that you just don't approve of and you're disgusted with, or they're just a horrible human being, and then I guess, unfortunately, when you know that stuff, it kind of gets in the way of, even if they're even if they're brilliant as an actor, it doesn't, you're still going to be like, they're a horrible person, so I'm not going to give them money, because I don't want to support them because of how they are as a person. So anyway, back to that. So this next little chapter is going to be about Eddie. It's called Eddie Cat's Makes a Catch. So I'm wondering if this is when he's gonna run into the like in the miniseries, all this stuff was done before they met up again for the first time. In how many years? But in the book, that they meet at the restaurant, and then I think all the stuff that happens before they reunite is gonna happens now, and after the restaurant, like Eddie, I think he's gonna run into or have that fantasy of his old pharmacist who gives him the asthma medicine, but you find out it's not legit, it's camphor water, or a placebo. And when he was 11, I think, 11 or 12, is when he kind of learns that, but he doesn't want to believe it, because he would rather believe he's sick and he needs help, like he's unhealthy, than believe the truth that it's all BS and that his mom is just is paranoid and thinks, and the only way she can keep him is to make him believe he's sick. Which actually, they have a movie coming out. I don't know. I think it's gonna be on. I don't know if it's streaming on Netflix or if it's gonna be on TV, regular TV. But they have that movie coming out. I can't remember what it's called, with the mother and daughter. It's based on a true story, where the mom keeps the daughter hostage and makes it seem like she's sick, really sick all the time, because the mom just doesn't want to be alone. She doesn't want her daughter to grow up. So the daughter, she kind of develops that whole belief, like she's mentally, she's a lot younger than her actual age. And which looks good. I might watch that. So I need to read I might read some more of that. And then, oh my god, Sophie's right here. This one, when I see cute things, my sister does the same thing. When we see cute things, we bite our lips. And I am petting my Sophie girl. You can't see her, unfortunately. Hi! And I don't do that thing that Steve Donahue does with this cute little puppy Frida. He does mail hauls. A lot of his videos are mail hauls, and he lets her jump up and bite on and chew up the packaging of his mail. Rascal might do that. The other one might do that, but Sophie wouldn't. I don't know if she would do that. But anyway, I also need to get back into reading a little bit of the Sam, because I feel bad because I was going to do that Stephen King project, and I haven't talked about Stephen King in several weeks now. So I need to. This is my first time bringing up Stephen King on camera. in a while. So I need to get back into reading, at least maybe reading Revival or something, even if I'm not reading this one. This was not, I think I already said this was not a good first choice for my Stephen King project. Because it's too long of a book, and I know that I cannot stick with a book this size for too long. I mean, I'll finish it eventually, but, I mean, because I've read it once before, but it just took me a little more than a year to read that one. I think it was a year. So this one's gonna take quite a while. So I don't have anything really to report, but I do need to get back into this one eventually. So they refer to The Stand. They say it has adventure, romance. Although as of right now, the romance is a little dysfunctional. But maybe there's gonna be an actual romance. Although I don't know if Stephen King writes, because his love story, he's definitely a guy writer when he writes romance. And there's a little bit of adventures. I feel like it's not a lot. So far I haven't read a lot of fantasy. Maybe a little bit with the whole maybe a little bit of magical realism. We have the with the Dark Man and all that, and the other woman, the healer. Which that's what a lot of times he doesn't always write straight up fantasy. Sometimes he writes books that have fantasy in it, like little elements here and there. No. I mean, there is the Dark Tower series, and the Eyes of the Dragon. Those are straight up fantasy. So I gotta read a little bit more of this. And then so that's all the Stephen King books I need to read. And then 2 more books. Oh wait, no, I also need to read The Shining. It's another one that, once again, I started it, and I got a little bit farther in this one than I did no. This one is the least far out of the Stephen books I'm in the middle of. Also, The Eye of the Dragon is somewhere. I've got to take that off my shelf. But I need to get to that one as well. But in this one, the family is already at the house. There was this incident with these wasps and stuff, and the little boy Danny gets stung, and his dad, what is the guy's name? Jack, has a bit of a moment where he kind of gets angry at his son because he has a bit of a problem. He needs anger management, and they're gonna take Danny to the doctors. That's the thing that Stephen King does. He does so much in his stories. He doesn't just focus. I mean, there's more. He puts more background in his stories, which I like. I really love that. I enjoy it, but it just makes his book so long, and so many details are put in his books. Now, I don't know. I mean, actually, I was watching Steve Donahue's video, and he talked about how there are some authors who do a little too much unnecessary detail. And, I wonder, there's some people like Stephen King where I wonder if he would feel that way about King. He feels that way that King would put too much detail. Or would he feel that way about Tolkien? But yeah, that's when I get into a new booktuber and I become, then a lot of times I think about some of the things that they say on their channels. Besides, what books they're reading and the descriptions of the books that they're reading. So that's all the Stephen King I'm currently reading. And then I also need to get back into this one. This one I started. Not very far in this one. It's kind of I think it's a haunted house story. And you have this middle-class doctor comes to this family's home and kind of gets to know them and meets them and gets to know them. And, he ends up getting stuck. I think he's going to end up getting stuck in the house with them. And I think their home is haunted. And it's kind of during the turn of the century. I want to say it's after the war. I think it's after. Well, either way, it's after a war. I don't know if it's the First World War or the Second, but it's gonna definitely be interesting seeing this family and get to know them. But I mean, which is fun, which it's really funny that I'm gonna say this, but I really just fell in love with The Paying Guest. But people have been reading Sarah Waters for years. Have said that The Paying Guest is their least favorite Sarah Waters book. But again, another thing I've said a million times is I'm very easy to please. I mean, I have genres I won't read, but I'm mostly an easy to please reader. But I'm gonna read this one as well. Now, some of these, if I have one more book to talk about, but some of these I might end up taking when if I get spring break time off. Then I might be bringing some of these with me to if going to see my sister. But it depends on because I did actually for the first time got denied. My mom thinks it's because it was kind of a last minute request. So it's like, no, we already made the schedule and stuff like that. We can't give you this time off. But it will all work out. My parents and we have neighbors and friends who will gladly bring me to work if I end up going to work. I wonder if was it this weekend they were planning? I think it might have actually been this weekend. If it was, then I'm already off anyway, so it doesn't matter, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to ask my parents. But I got one more book to shake us I'm working on. This one, I actually was kind of feeling guilty about. I hadn't read it a few days because I'm worried what might happen is if I take a break from it for a few days, then I might not come back to it for a long time. Like The Stand, for instance, or It. And that is The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm just loving this book. It's such a fascinating story, and there's so much more going on than what the movie was starring Jim Caviezel. Because you get the basic story of Edmund getting framed for being a Bonapartist, getting arrested. He meets a priest, learns some skills that he didn't have before, and it's all about him getting revenge on the guys that framed him. And there's the whole subplot of his fiancée, Mercedes, and how she was carrying his child, but she married her cousin, Ferdinand, because, she didn't want it to look bad that she and Dantes had, sex before marriage. Because, this is the 1800s. So, having sex before marriage was even more of a big no-no. Yeah, nowadays people are still like, a little, they don't know if they don't, like, necessarily approve, like, it's frowned upon still, but it's not as big of a deal. You're not shamed necessarily. You might be shamed. Depends on the people, but you're not ever really shamed if you choose to have sex, as it was back in the 1800s, in the early 1900s, like in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Because now it's like, if you have sex before marriage, it's like, yeah, we may not approve of it, and yeah, we may kind of judge you a little bit, but that is kind of more acceptable. If you get pregnant in wedlock. And you're not going to be, like, shunned from society. Your family might be a little disappointed in you, but they're not going to, like, shun you like they do they would do, like, in Tree Grows in Brooklyn to that woman. Of course, these people aren't her family. They're just her neighbors, but still. I don't think even her neighbors, they might still talk about you, but anyway, back to this. But I'm just loving this book. There's so much political intrigue. And I love books where historical, not today's politics, but historical politics are so interesting to me. Except for some of the 20th century politics aren't not the 20s. The third, yeah, but so much was going on like the 1800s and the early 1900s politically, and these stories are so fascinating. And I think I already talked about the last thing I read in this book, when she meets this Dantos finally escapes after the priest has died, and he has met the smugglers and comes up with the story. He doesn't tell them who he really is, that he's in the prison has figured out that they have prisoner missing, and so now he's like, he comes up, he persuades the smugglers that they need to leave now without revealing to him he's the missing prisoner, because of course he's thinking these are not honorable guys. They might decide to take me back just to get a reward money for returning me. So he's like, he lies about who he is. So in this next chapter, I guess chapter 22, we're going to be spending time with the smugglers. And I'm thinking because in the movie, I guess to save time, they had the priest kind of teach him some sword fighting skills. So, and in the book, he's not the one. He just teaches him the academic stuff. But I think that I'm guessing that the smugglers are going to be the ones that will teach him how to sword fight. And Ferdinand does because in the movie it seemed I got the impression that Ferdinand and Edmund were friends. But I mean, I haven't seen that movie for a long time, and I haven't even seen the beginning for even less time. But in this, it seems like it's more they're not as friendly with each other. Like he's only being like, "Oh, we'll be friends because Mercedes and everything." But I mean, like I said, he all because he's jealous and is in love with Mercedes. He's like, he decides to go along with this scheme of framing Edmund for being a Bonapartist, all because of a stupid letter that he didn't know anything about. He just was the messenger. He just delivered the letter. He did not realize what the letter meant, or that in the letter it contained information about Villefort, the Magister's father, and how he was a Bonapartist. Oh my god, so intriguing, so fascinating, and yes, it's a big chunk of a book. It's over 1,000 pages, but it's still so fascinating. Such a fascinating read. Now, of course, if you're someone that is not used to all the writing style, because the writing style is very different, There's a lot more detail, a lot more descriptions of the people's emotions, and a lot more describing of things and places. And people live very dramatically. To the point, and authors write dramatically. Like, while, which is funny that because if we were villains, the characters, because they are obsessed with Shakespeare, they live very dramatically too, because they figure, oh, Shakespeare lived dramatically, so we should live dramatically, and feel like it's the end of the world. But anyway. So I'll probably, after I film this, I'll probably do that review as well real quick. So anyway, that's what I'm currently reading. I'm going to read that tomorrow as well. That's probably going to be a definite, because I need to get a little more done in that one. And like I said, I'm going to read The Tree Grows in Brooklyn tonight, probably, or it'll probably be after midnight when I start reading it. So it will be technically tomorrow. And then, I don't know, out of the ones I just showed you, I don't know which one I'll get to. Oh, and American Gods is another one I need to look at as well. I need to dip my toes in that one too. Probably I feel like I need to get far in those books so that I will be a little more eager to read. Not that I'm not eager to read American Gods, for instance, but it's just I feel like I need to progress a little bit more so that I will get to the point where I don't want to stop reading. So that's what I'm going to read on my day off tomorrow, and what I'm currently reading today and tomorrow and the rest of this weekend. So, I would love to know what you guys are reading right now, and what you're going to read tomorrow, or maybe what you just finished. Feel free to share in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I hope you all are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!